it's no problem. I mean, I have to say, when I heard that, like, people actually watch this show, I was actually.
What's up, everybody? I don't know what's going on with the playlist now.
Welcome to Sports and Shenanigans, if you can even hear me.
Yeah, they can. I was accidentally skipping through videos.
Andrew Luck.
Alright, there's the next one. Alright, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We were going to have some lovely guests for you, but turns out they're too lame and would rather play video games than play with us or record this with us, which is fine, but we were hoping to have them on with us.
Yeah, it works out fine. You guys get to hang out with us, we get to hang out with you, and everybody else. They're rotting their brains right now.
Yeah.
They have rotten brains.
You damn crazy kids.
No.
All right.
Video games are bad for you. It'll make you sick.
Yeah, this coming from somebody who loves video games, but there is more important things to use my time with right now, because there's a lot to talk about regarding sports and or shenanigans. So, what should we start with?
Well, we can start with the game that we just missed. We didn't get to watch it. At least I didn't get to watch it, but I got to hear it on the radio. Turns out Cleveland had their way with Cincinnati.
Boy.
Cincinnati has been... they're weird. Remember last week you were talking about how the best a team plays versus the worst, versus the absolute worst that game a team can have?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and put Cincinnati up there with one of the most extreme, I'd say, because they come up with great starts. Like, I mean, they do so well and they beat good teams by a lot, and they get shut down by the Colts, 28-0, and then they just get whooped by the Browns.
Maybe their confidence is shattered.
That, and it could be the Browns are better than we all gave them credit for. Except for you. You were the only one of all of us that predicted them to win tonight.
Haha. It's all part of my plan to climb slowly back up the roster or the standings in our picks.
It's like somebody gave you a hot tip, like in a horse race or something.
I shook my Magic 8 Ball before we did our picks. I'm like, will Cleveland win Magic 8 Ball? Outcome likely. Going with Cleveland.
He just doesn't want you to know that he talked to somebody in the locker room there in Cincinnati, and he told them that every one of them has itching powder in all their underwear now.
Yep. It's hard to rush the ball more than 0 yards when your butthole feels like it's got a little toothbrush up it.
Just a gambling conspiracy. Don't worry about it.
All right. So the reason that I predicted them to win is because I heard from one of the sports things I listen to that's like, ooh, Cleveland's actually pretty good. They've been slowly improving their roster, and nobody's really even seeing it. They're kind of like a sleeper team or something. And so I was like, oh, maybe they are a sleeper team. And the Bengals haven't looked exactly strong the last few games, so I'm like, Cleveland, let's go. Because I think Cleveland started the season 1-2, and then they've won actually 5 out of their last 6. Or something like that now.
No, you're right on. And Cleveland has been playing pretty well. In fact, they beat the Steelers, who are on fire right now.
Yeah, that was actually the beginning of their big winning streak, I think.
Yep. You know what? I was nervous already. I predicted Cincinnati to win by 3. I knew it was going to be close. In fact, the only reason why I gave it to the Bengals was because they were playing at home. And and this is their first loss at home in 15 games. The only other teams that have records like that at home are the Saints and the Patriots. Even Seattle doesn't do that well at home.
It's against divisional opponents at home.
Well, what it is they haven't lost, or they haven't won a. What is it? The Browns hadn't won a divisional game on the road in 18 games.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe I think this was the 18th game or something.
Okay. Well, so yeah. By all accounts, they should have lost. The Bengals should have won that game, but fortunately for me, the all-knowing, all-seeing prediction god,
well done.
I saw it coming, and so I predicted them.
Starting off week 10, 1-0. Nice.
Yeah. I'm going to need that padding because I have a feeling that I'm going to have some missed. on the last week, I predicted the Dolphins to lose to the Chargers by like 15, and they won by 37 or something. They beat them 37-0, and I'm like, dude, seriously, like my team, and I bet against them because I'm like, well, there's no way they can win, and they stomp them. I'm like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. How am I hate it so much.
The Dolphins are another sleeper team that are coming out of nowhere. You predicted that at the beginning of the season too.
Yeah, I don't think they have I picked them kind of blindly. I had seen them play in the last season or two, and kind of like what they do. Like, they go for like the fake punts and things like that. I'm like, ooh, I like that team. They're a little flashy. But I picked them based on a few arbitrary things, not knowing a whole lot about them. And now I'm like caught in this position where I have like a team that's kind of middle of the pack, like good sometimes, but you know they're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Right. Well, we don't know that. It would not surprise me okay, it would surprise me still, but what... Alright, let's say... Miami gets a wild card spot in the AFC. And in the NFC, who would come out of nowhere? Let's see.
Wait, wild card games are played in between conferences?
Not really. I guess it depends on who made them. Let's see. Never mind, scratch that. I had this cool thought that maybe Cleveland would get a wild card spot, and then Miami would get a wild card spot, and they end up winning all the way up into the Super Bowl and playing each other, but they're both in the same conference. So
I honestly think Miami's best chance of doing well would be against a good team. Because a good team would make the mistake of taking them for granted, like easy next round of the playoffs, and then they'd get beat. But I mean, who knows? Like, who knows if they're even gonna make the playoffs? I'm already concerned about their game against the Bills on Sunday.
Well, the Bills are another one of those teams that farted, slipped, and fell. I mean, they started off good, and then they started sucking it up. Well, now that I look at it, they're 3-1 in the last 4 games, so they're doing something right. They won the last 2.
They're just like exactly because that was another team that I debated. I'm like, interesting team, and Arizona was as well. Like, these are all teams that like interesting how they just have random wins and like actually seem really good at times, but then like their consistency is bad, or like, you know, they lose games to bad teams and just have like the interesting wins. This is what I based my team to follow off of, is like what team has interesting wins.
That's a good. I can see that. And everybody had to have been paying attention to the Cardinals even last year.
Yeah.
One of those teams that won 10 games and didn't make the playoffs.
I heard an interesting thing about the Cardinals. They have, their head coach is. Do you remember when Pat Nagano had Pagano or Nagano? The guy that had cancer on the head coach of the Colts.
Okay.
Pat Nagano, I think his name is. This guy stepped in for most of the season while he was going through treatments, and this coach, it's a bummer that I don't remember his name. I'm still bad with names in the NFL. I'm just bad with names in general, unfortunately. But this coach actually like coached them into a winning season, got them into the playoffs, and then, you know, stepped back because that's when that guy like felt healthy enough from his cancer treatment to actually coach again, and then he gets instantly recruited by Arizona, and since then he's done like an amazing job with that team, because that was 2 seasons ago, and then they go 10-7 after having a season of like 2-14. They go 10-7, and then now they're on track to win their division. So that seems like a pretty good head coach.
I'd take him. Pay him what he wants. give him some money. Keep him around. Otherwise, he's gonna go to the Raiders.
They need a coach. They have like a revolving door in their coaching position.
Playing musical coaches.
Yeah. They're switching all the time. I don't know. So, all right, let's see. What teams are interesting to talk about right now? We could talk about some of the big, like, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about teams that are like in the middle, teams that are at the bottom, or teams that are at the top?
Well, teams that are in the middle that could end up where it could go
could
either
end
way.
up like getting. Okay, let's talk about Seattle, because in my opinion, Seattle does not make the playoffs this year, because there's this thing that happens almost across sports unanimously. It's called victory hangover or something like that. I forget
if that's
the
not what it's
phraseology.
called, that's what it should be. That sounds perfect. I even know where you're going with that.
It's like if you win, especially as dominatingly as they did, people get kind of ahead of themselves. Like the players will like take the entire off season, not really practice at all, just party, live it up, celebrate the fact that they won, which is fine. I mean, I think you deserve that. But then what happens is you come back and everybody's been training the entire time to beat you, because that's what you look like when you're a sports team, when you're a competitive team. You don't look at like, ooh, how can I beat the teams below me? How can I make sure that I always beat the teams that are like currently like below me in the standings? You're always like, okay, what steps do we got to take to beat these teams that are on the top? These teams that are gonna like win the Super Bowl. Like that's how you model your strategy off of, and that's how you model your like training regimen off of. So like if you need to get your receivers faster or better at using their hands off the line when they or you need to train your offensive linemen how to like handle spin moves better or something like that. That's what's going to happen. And those spin moves that your defensive linemen used last season that worked so well, now those aren't working and you're not getting any sacks. Or like just things that you used last year, they study that tape and then they use that against you. You come at them with the same thing you came at them with last year, they've already got answers for all that. And then so you're put in a position where you are so far behind your competition because you haven't changed anything about yourself. You're still the same team.
Yeah.
But you're not going to win the Super Bowl as that same team.
No.
Because everybody else changed.
All this effort you're spending on watching tapes and trying to figure out the other teams, well, guess what? What do you think they're doing right now? And if you don't change your style, then they've got your number. And the teams that... The victory hangover it's amazing coincidence. I wish there was a stat out there we could look at that could really prove it, but you're right. I mean, it's been a long time since an NFL team won 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah. I mean, there's this like basic thing. It's like the desire to win, the desire to be the best. And a team like Seattle had that last year, right? They had that desire to be the best. And then once you've achieved that, that's not like a burning within your soul. That's not like, that's not going to be there this time.
And that's just with the players that you got kept. What's been happening a lot lately too with the salary cap, which is I think a good thing for the whole league, but for the team in particular, when you win the Super Bowl, now all the players that got you there, they want more money. So you start signing contracts. You start giving people this money, and you got you got a quarterback all of a sudden that wants some money.
Sure.
And then you got your badass defensive guys, you got your receivers and your rushers. They all want more money. And which means we should call
that from now on. We should call it Joe Flacco syndrome when somebody thinks they deserve more money.
You can tell right away who I was talking about. Yeah. Well, so now all of a sudden they've got to let some guys go. Like with the Ravens, they let Anquan Bolden go. They let a couple other guys go. They kept Ray Rice. That screwed them.
Yeah, that did screw them.
Seattle won, and they got rid of Golden Tate. They got rid of one of the other badass defensive guys. They lost Percy Harvin, which turns out that might be good for the Seahawks after all. But still, they're down a lot of weapons that they relied on the whole year before. So they're a completely different team.
Sure.
And they haven't found their new...
Not to mention the fact that you probably gave some pretty strong weapons to teams that may rival you.
Right. So now you're playing against your...
Like, for example, the Ravens and the Niners. Like,
yeah. Anquan Bolden lights them up
if you think
time.
about the season, the difference in the season that happened the year after the Ravens won the Super Bowl, they got rid of Anquan Bolden. They gave him to the Niners. Think about how much better the Niners did on that season.
Oh, yeah. In that first game against the Packers last year... With Anquan Bolden caught for almost 200 yards against the Packers. He's like, yeah.
He had a chip on his shoulder. He's like, you want to give me up? I'll show you what I'm worth.
Yeah. Alex Smith did the same thing with Kansas City.
Yeah. I just think Alex Smith is just probably top 3 favorite players in the NFL. I don't know why, but I just love that man. Like, I think he's just such a great player, and like he just seems like he has a really good mentality, just in general about like sports competition and just life.
Mm-hmm. You won't get an argument from me. I like that guy too. There's not very many people that I'm as impressed with.
See, and that's one of the reasons that I always am so critical of Colin Kaepernick, because it's like he took the place of Alex Smith, who I think was basically what brought the Niners. Like, between him and Harbaugh, they brought the Niners from like a horrible, horrible team that was like always going like 5-11,
4 and worse. Yeah.
To a team that was contending for the playoffs, contending for their division and things like that.
Damn near won Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean,
like every year they were one. That first year when the Ravens and the 49ers both got screwed out of the Harbaugh, in both games it came down to just one play, or one bad call or one this or that were really that there was nothing either team could do about it.
Yep.
And then the 49ers, that last play into the end zone where Seattle beat us. I don't know, this year I hope the 49ers actually make it. You're right. Seattle and it's hard to say. Seattle may get their shit together before the 49ers do.
The only way that the Niners make it right now, in my opinion, is probably going to be a wild card seed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And unless even if we win out,
and they also have to completely turn around. Like, I mean, I say turn around like they've been losing. They still wait. Oh, they're 4-4 now, so they don't have a winning record.
No, but what's fucked up is the Saints are 4-4 and winning their division.
Yep.
And the San Francisco 49ers are 4-4 and probably won't make the playoffs. In fact,
okay, just a quick little caveat here. How depressing is the Atlanta Falcons football team? Like, every year you think they're like, okay, so they had that really good showing in like 2010 or 2011, one of those years. They just had a great season. They went like 11-0 and then like lost a couple games, made it to the playoffs. Go out in the first round of the playoffs to the Seahawks. I think that was what happened.
I think that sounds right.
Um,
Poor Falcons, because that was their best shot, and they go up against the best Seahawks team there probably has ever been.
Well, this was against. Actually, I don't remember for the Seahawks now, but they had a great season, great regular season. Go out in the first round of the playoffs, and then everyone's like, "Man, next year they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna get what they need, and they're gonna have like everything that's gonna go their way, and they're gonna win their division and blah." And since that season, they like got progressively worse. The next season, they still made the playoffs with a worse record. Still go out in the first round.
Yeah.
Next season, like last season, I guess it was, just barely get out of barely don't make the playoffs. I think it was it the Saints that made it last year? No, it was the Panthers. Panthers made it last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, just even worse somehow. Like, what happened? Like, this team was looking good. Like, they looked like they were having, like, an upward trend, but now they suck. Now they're just a gimme game. And they come close in almost all the games, they score nearly as many points as the other team. But they always lose.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, are they good? Like, it doesn't seem like it. Sure as fuck doesn't. But every indicator in your brain thinks, like, this team should have been getting better. Maybe the whole NFL just got better. Like, the entirety of the NFL.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, there's great teams now. Like, it's hard to say who's going to win what division because there's so many excellent teams. And there's not that many really bad teams. Like, even the worst team in every division has got a shot at beating somebody good. Except for the Raiders.
Yeah.
That sucks for them.
Besides them.
But you're right. The Falcons fans have to be frustrated. They've got to be. We were talking about the Atlanta Falcons, but yeah, the fans are just furious right now, I imagine.
All right.
At least Jacksonville fans have. I mean, they know better. They're like Cubs fans. They're just glad they have something to go see.
Oh God, I can't even imagine being a fan in one of those towns. Just like the football team never wins. Like, that's got to be depressing. I mean, I think about that like you know, going to your son's little league games, like, but your son's team is fucking horrible. He never wins, and like, even if your son is like a decent player, his team always gets thrashed, and it's just got to be the most depressing thing to think. Oh, I gotta go out there again, watch their asses get beat, and then try and console my son afterwards. Or like, in this case, like, you're just thinking about how you're gonna shit talk the Jaguars at work the next day.
Well, it can. There are benefits to being a fan of a shitty team. All right, so just today I was having a conversation with a Jaguar friend of ours, and it turns out it saved his ass on Tuesday. He was late for bowling, so he was hauling ass to the bowling alley, right? And sure enough, he gets pulled over. So the cop comes up and he's like, hey, you know why I pulled you over? Yeah, I was hauling ass, sir. Officer, I know. He's like, all right, yeah, all right, license, registration, does the whole spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Police officer goes back to his car, runs everything he's got to run, then comes back and he walks up. He's like, so, why were you in such a hurry? And our buddy goes, well, I had no good excuse. I'm just late for bowling, and I kind of wanted to get there. I'm sorry. Anyway, and he goes, well, you were going 65 and a 40. But you have a pretty clean driving record. I noticed you have a Jacksonville Jaguars flag on the side of your truck there, and our buddy, he's got his Jacksonville hat on and his
Right,
coat
not the
on.
most common team to like in Alaska.
Right, and so the cop's like, well, I should give you a ticket, but I feel so bad for your football team.
Oh,
I'm just
God.
gonna give you a warning.
Oh
This
my
happened
God.
on Tuesday.
That's
So,
fucking hilarious.
65 and a 40, so it could be a reckless driving charge, hundreds of dollars in fines. He could even arrest him if he wanted to be a dick about it. But instead, he's like, you know what? I'm sorry. You're a Jacksonville
I
fan.
see why you're so disgruntled.
No wonder you're in a hurry. You're trying to outrun the next week.
Oh God.
But you gotta slow down. But you gotta slow down now.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty. I thought it was a good story.
Trying to outrun the next week. Oh, that's good.
I can't wait for football Sunday, and there's got to be some Jacksonville Jaguar fans that, you know what? I take it back. I just talked about how happy those fans are that their team is at least playing.
I don't know, man.
You're right. Maybe they don't. I only know one Jacksonville fan. And he's just an upbeat fellow. So
You know, it'd be awesome, but it'd be way more interesting, is if, as like a PR stunt, or not a PR stunt, but like a publicity stunt, they just like get Tim Tebow as their quarterback, and then they play the shit out of him. Even if they wouldn't win any games, it'd still be like, oh look, they're running the Wildcat again. Like, silly old Jacksonville trying whatever they can to get a win.
You think he'll take a snap and run it?
Oh, Jacksonville beats... No, that was St. Louis. Those two... Okay, there's 4 teams that I always mix up. St. Louis and Jacksonville I always mix up because they're always in the same boat.
Yep.
With like the bad record and blah, and they have the similar colors. And then the Browns and the Bengals. I always fucking misname them or like speak about them. But yeah.
Well, and actually, the Browns, I think, are the only team Jacksonville's beat, which is crazy that Cleveland's doing so well.
Yeah, I know. It's just like,
How's that?
oh, look who decided to show up, everybody. We were just talking about the Browns.
Oh, God.
What the hell
Where
is
the
a
hell
Brown
did they
anyway?
come from tonight? By the way, totally predicted the right score, just the wrong team.
That's right. We all made our predictions for tonight's game ahead of time, and it turns out 4 out of 5 of us were like, "Yep, Cincinnati. Yep, Cincinnati." Even I was kind of nervous because I know how good Cleveland's been doing lately, and I know the Cincinnati's been struggling. So I picked the home team by 3. Well, they got annihilated by the Browns.
Hey, they got 3 points.
Wave to the audience.
Hello, audience.
I don't know if that was on
The
you or
whole,
not.
4 people that are watching, maybe.
No one's watching. No one's watching it right now, so it's just gonna go straight to YouTube. So hopefully, normally we get like 20 to 30 views on our videos, so there'll be a couple people that see.
See my wave?
Yes.
So anybody
Epic
watching,
wave.
tell your friends, or at least go on a different computer and watch it again, so we get more views. Please. I said please. You have to do it now.
Yeah. The only problem is, like, we're the least professional sports podcast ever. I think I'm, like,
Well, it's
what was
called
the name?
Sports and Shenanigans. Like,
It should be, like, let's just change the name to Mainly Shenanigans podcast.
yeah, maybe we should be Shenanigans and some sports.
Shenanigans and sports.
General sports and shenanigans.
I promise, as soon as we
No,
change
we're-
your name to Shenanigans and Sports, we'll start having more boobs.
Okay.
Ooh, hey, everybody likes boobs. I think we've addressed this before.
Yeah. I even have, like, a boob video on the playlist.
Oh, good.
I think I'm even gonna name this episode the Half-Assed Podcast because there was
yeah.
some funny quote that
That happened last podcast.
that random guest
Yep.
made at the end of the last podcast. Yeah.
Yep, it was too late last
So,
week, so we decided
we
to
didn't-
use it for this week.
We didn't really talk about the Steelers at all yet, but we can go ahead and do that now if you want to. I'm gonna direct the mic a little your way to help you out with the sound waves.
All right,
Woo, sound waves.
here's a Steelers stat. All right, so we all know the Steelers have been kicking ass the last 2 seasons. We
Damn
all
straight.
know.
Whoa, I don't know about seasons.
or,
The last 2
it's-
games.
Yeah, I misspoke. I should get better
I mean,
at that if I'm gonna be on TV.
I'm not trying to discredit my team here or anything, but seasons might be a bit of a stretch.
Pardon me. The combination of words I meant to use were.
records.
Well, we haven't had bad seasons, but I wouldn't call them good seasons. If we played every game the last 2 seasons like we played against the Colts the other week, then yes, we would have had 2 kick-ass seasons.
I would say
But-
that the Ravens win was almost as impressive as well. Like I
The
think
Ravens
that
win
was
was pretty good,
I think
too.
that was a solid performance too.
But we were at home, which is always nice.
But it doesn't compare to the last 2 games where the Steelers have gotten 6 touchdowns. You know, Ben Roethlisberger's gotten 6 touchdowns 2 games in a row with no
That
interceptions.
is an NFL record.
As cool as that is, that means the Steelers have 12 touchdowns in 2 games, and their team they're playing this week is the Jets, who have 12 touchdowns in the last 15 games.
I hope they win.
Dude, and you know what's effed up about the way that we've been playing this year? We'll probably lose to the Jets. Like, that's what's so fucked up about my team right now. Like, I don't understand it. We keep losing to all the easy teams that we should fucking dominate. Like, the Browns, which, okay, they had a good game this week, and they've had some actually pretty impressive games the last few weeks, which I should maybe discount them like I usually do because they've been in my division for a long time, and like, no offense to the Browns, but they're kind of usually like the pushover team. They're pretty much always last in the division.
I feel like this year
And,
it's
like-
gonna be the Steelers or the Browns to the playoffs.
right?
personally.
Well, so
Just because of the inconsistencies of the
damn it, I
Ravens.
just totally forgot where I was going with that.
But they're both 6-3.
Oh no, we keep losing to easy teams like the Browns and fucking Tampa Bay, and like if we play Jacksonville, we'd probably lose to them. You know,
Yeah.
but then we beat like the Colts and the Ravens and like I don't know, like
Oh, you did play Jacksonville and you beat them. Because I remember thinking, well, I think it was like 4th or 5th game into it, and I was thinking, well, if Jacksonville's going to win a game this season, it's probably going to be this one against the Steelers.
yeah, fuck you.
So I picked Jacksonville for the upset. Nah, I was wrong. Pittsburgh won.
I've been picking Pittsburgh every week we've done these picks. I pretty much picked Pittsburgh, and I'm like, I don't know if it's just you or just the fact that I kind of like the Steelers secretly now. Like I'm like a lurker, like just like the tiniest little Steelers flag, just like go Steelers.
I don't know. We have a lot of good talent, and what's super cool, like we were talking about earlier about our team right now, is we actually have a reasonably interesting mix of like solid veterans and a couple of pretty good rookies, which is cool, and it makes for an interesting team to watch. But it's the same reason why it's been difficult to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan the last few years, is we're so freaking inconsistent.
Right.
Like, we have great games, and then we just fail miserably. And then we have great games, and then we just fail miserably. And it's like, fuck. Like,
I don't think at least you're not as bad as the Giants. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what's up with them?
I don't know what happened to the Giants.
Dude, sometimes I can't figure out how they win any games. And other times I'm like, why don't they win every game? I don't understand.
Yeah.
No, I think the most interesting outcome of this can happen. A Steelers Patriots Super Bowl could happen, right? No, it can't.
No, it can't.
Dang.
AFC Championship can happen, and has before. But
It'd be interesting to see either Steelers Broncos or Steelers Patriots. Like just in the playoffs because I really
Broncos are NFC, aren't they?
Nope, AFC West.
wait there.
Oh.
Oh God, I'm stupid. I don't know the divisions very well.
I
So
thought they were NFC too. For some
either
reason.
one of those would be interesting.
Well, anyway, there's definitely been plenty of like Steelers, Patriots battles, and like one of my favorite games I think we've ever played was either last year or the year before, where we played fucking phenomenally. Best game we played all season, hands down, was against the Patriots, and it was a year they were doing really well, and we flat fucking shut Tom Brady down, and it was awesome. And like, I don't know, we've played the Patriots several times, and we usually do okay. Like, sometimes we do really well. And one thing I really liked about that particular game was that we actually played man coverage, which is rare for the Steelers. Like, we're pretty much a zone coverage secondary, regardless. And not that that's a horrible thing to be, because zone coverage works well, especially with the way our team works most of the time. But against quarterbacks like Tom Brady and or Peyton Manning, or some of the way that the league is headed nowadays, where you just have these really accurate quarterbacks that can hit those small windows, zone coverage doesn't work very well because they're gonna find those fucking gaps every time. And I was super stoked about that particular game because we played we played man coverage, and we played really well, and we totally shut down the run just like normal, not always, but usually we have solid run defense, and we played excellent secondary man coverage. And if we can continue that, if we can do that, if we can have good man coverage and continually shut down the run, we are definitely a formidable team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Right now, Steelers offense and defense are clicking on both sides of it. How are their special teams? Are they?
Well, last week it was terrible. They had that freaking run back touchdown.
Oh,
But
No.
like, that was kind of sad. It was from like 10 yards deep in the end zone too. Fabulous run back. Not to discount who was that?
on the Ravens,
Yeah.
it must have been Jacoby Jones.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Jones. Great run back, but we just fucked up too. Terrible coverage. And our special teams is generally okay, but it's never phenomenal. I mean, and that's not even the first run back I can think of. Look at the Denver game not that long ago. 2 years ago. Yes, 3 years ago. Back when they had Tebow, I think. I don't know. Anyway, there's been a couple of pretty epic run backs where, like, it's not horribly uncommon that our special teams break down.
That was an insane game, by the way. That was ridiculous. That was a loss to the Broncos in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like pretty devastating for the Steelers, I have to say. And that must be why you hate Tebow so much.
I hated him long before that, but yeah.
So
Tebow is definitely not on my fans list.
is Mendenhall injured right now?
I don't know, but I haven't seen him played much. I think we traded him.
There might have
No,
been a
we
better...
traded him. He's
You
not
did?
even on the
Okay.
Steelers anymore. I
Okay.
think.
Go for this week in case you need it. I'm gonna go pee.
I have to check, but I'm almost positive we actually traded him for some reason.
It wouldn't surprise
which
me.
Doesn't make
I
any
remember.
freaking sense.
I remember there being an awesome backup. I don't remember the names because I suck at names, but
I don't know. You know what? I'm almost kind of. If we did trade him, which I'm not certain about, I should really know my Steelers better than this. But I'm almost a little glad about it because I was really upset for a while about our offense because it was like Mendenhall up the middle, nothing. Mendenhall up the middle, 2 yards. Oh shit, it's third down. Oh, I guess Ben Roethlisberger's gonna have to try and pass. Oh, incomplete. Like, we had the most predictable freaking offense when we had Mendenhall. Like, I don't know.
how is your offensive line right now? Is it pretty good?
Our O-line is actually doing really well. They've been protecting Ben better than they usually do and winning the front realistically. And, like, I'll preach all day that the game of football is won on the line, regardless. It always is. I don't care how good your receivers are. I don't care how phenomenal your quarterback is. If you've got a shit line, you're not going to win games.
Right.
And,
No, and I agree with that. For the most, there's been some teams that can get like wins without like super great,
I mean, dude,
D-line pressure.
the last 2 games we've had no sacks. That tells you
that's
how
pretty
good our
insane.
line's
Because,
doing.
like, that's something that they
Like,
always struggled with.
Well, I mean, a lot of that I think is Ben's fault because he's notorious for dropping back fucking 10 yards and taking a sack when he could have easily thrown the ball away. I've bitched about that for years. But with the new offensive coordinator working with him and the way that our line has been playing this year, he's had time to throw the ball, and he's actually made some pretty good throwaways too, which is uncharacteristic for Ben. Like, usually he always tries to escape, or he tries to extend the play, or he tries to break out.
Does, kind of. Like, that's his thing. Like, he's pretty good at it.
He is.
But you can't always get away from a 300-pound, or I guess it'd be like a 250 defensive lineman.
But what was it? I think it was this last game. Yeah, no, I shouldn't have said no sacks. We had no sacks against the Colts, and we only had 3 sacks against the Ravens, and all 3 of them were in the same possession. We had one freaking possession where we lost like 44 yards or something because we had a penalty and then a sack and then a sack and then a sack.
So funny.
All of them for like 8 yards or something. It was crazy.
But no, like, one thing I realized about the offensive line in general is what happens is, okay, so, for the most part, teams need at least a running threat, and they need like just a strong O-line to protect their quarterback. So what happens is you have teams that have these fragile quarterbacks, except for the Giants, like the teams that have like the older quarterbacks that really it's just of utmost importance that they're always protected. You got the Patriots, you got the Broncos, you got a couple other teams. But like what happens is in training these offensive linemen and like picking these elite offensive linemen for the sake of your quarterback, it actually gives you a running game as like a little side bonus point,
Sure.
Like, because they're gonna just be able to do their job so well since you spend all this time getting these big guys working for your quarterback. They're gonna be able to open up holes for your running backs as well.
So, it doesn't look like Mendenhall is on our roster at the moment, injured reserve or not. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure we traded him. Which is a little sad, because Richard was a good running back. But I'm really happy with Bell and Blunt right now. They are doing a phenomenal job. I'm really impressed with Le'Veon Bell. I didn't necessarily like his running style at first, because he's got that super stutter step, like where he just like runs up to the line and freaking stops. And you're like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden he like jukes and makes this crazy run. He's a really smart running back where like he observes so well. He's not just like, oh, this is my route and I'm just gonna fucking try and power through it. Okay, my run's supposed to be up the middle for a couple of yards, but like he runs up to the line and he waits for the play to develop, and he waits for his O-line, which has been doing a great job right now, to open up a hole. And he's been doing a fabulous job. He keeps his shoulders square to the line so he can juke side to side really well, and he's still a good power back. He keeps his legs moving, and I'm really impressed and happy with Le'Veon Bell as
that kind of stuff is what
as a
Frank
back
Gore and
right
McCoy do all the time. LaShawn McCoy.
Well, but even more so, it's like it's crazy to watch him run the ball, because it's like he just like sprints to the line. Like you hand the ball off to him and you see him just take off, and you're like, and then he just stops. And you're like, okay, what is he doing?
I think,
and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, he breaks out. Like I
think possibly like on just like a physics level, what could happen is the defensive linemen or linebackers that are caught up like in a mash session with the O lineman or whatever, they notice that he's running right over there, so they give up some of their balance to try and shift towards where he's going. They might give up too much balance, and then they get overpowered by the offensive lineman. And then he can open it, like, maybe there's now an opening to the left or right that you can cut through. Like, that sounds like it's a pretty smart way to do it. Because, like, if they make that unnecessary jump towards, like, where he could be going, and then they just get beat by the offensive lineman, that's actually a pretty interesting strategy.
Yeah, it works really well. Like, maybe next week or something, try and find a clip of the way that he, like, there's been several specific runs where, like, I'm shocked at how he just, like, runs up to the... I mean, he just... Because he's fast, Mm-hmm. And then he just, like, sprints to the line and stops. And you're like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And then all of a sudden, it's like, boom, he's taking off again. But it's, like, it's just his style. He's really smart about the way he runs. And I think it's cool. And it works well.
the best runs, in my opinion, besides like the ones where they break out and just go all the way or whatever, I like when they find the hole, but there's a linebacker waiting for them, but they have enough strength to basically carry the linebacker for like an extra 4 or 5 yards.
Sure. Well, and you know what I think is kind of funny too, and a lot of people don't always necessarily realize is like every run play, pretty much every single run play is designed to get 4 yards. Because if you can get 4 yards every run play, you can control the clock, and you use all 3 of your downs, and you just run the ball for 4 yards every time, and you're going to get first down after first down after first down, and you will dominate that game because you will hold on to the ball for the vast majority of the game. You have a less likely chance of turning it over, and if you just consistently churn out 4 yards, which is what the plays are designed to do, you're going to win the game. Like, it's crazy how that works, but it's like that's all you really need.
Yeah,
That any
so
run
well.
over that is all just bonus yardage.
Yeah, that works so well, and then all of a sudden we're a passing league. It's crazy because they get so used to that running game working, and then that opens up the passing game.
Right.
Well, the problem is if the run if you get stopped.
So the problem is that works really well right up until you run up against a really solid run defense, and instead of actually getting 4 yards per play, you're only getting 2.
Yeah.
Then what you have to do is continually try and get those 2 and 3 yards here and there and make it look like you're running and do some play action, passing and whatnot to actually get those downs. That only actually works if you actually get your 4 yards every carry, which doesn't always happen.
And if you're aware that, even a shitty run defense can still stop you every once in a while.
Well, part of the strategy is like, what you have as an offense, you have to be kind of unpredictable. Like the worst thing you can do is, like you said, run it on first and second, throw it on third, and like fail, because your throw on third is desperate because your runs on first and second were stopped. You have sometimes you just gotta throw the ball on first down. I'm sorry, you can't always I see the run on first down is so safe, and you usually get a couple yards. That's nice. But I think that sometimes you just gotta go for like a 15-yard pass on first down. I think you do.
And you do see that sometimes. And even the Steelers will do that every now and then. But it's reasonably rare,
Now the Steelers can do it whenever they want to, and they'll get it because they're freaking on fire on the passing game.
Well, and our offensive line is doing such an awesome job of protecting Ben.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just he's having lots of time to be able to survey the field and throw the pass. And fucking Antonio Brown is one hell of a receiver.
Yeah. He's probably gonna get. I would assume, besides Calvin Johnson, because he's like the only target on the Lions apparently. Maybe not anymore, but at least last year he was. I haven't really been caring about the Lions at all.
Like a Brown.
Calvin Johnson?
Yeah.
Dude, he's got to be.
He's on the line. He's got to be on the Lions.
No,
they wouldn't get rid of Calvin Johnson. They're like his only offense.
No, I think he was hurt or something.
Oh well, if he's hurt, then they're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Okay, well, my bad.
Yeah.
I was just making a comparison anyways. So, I think that Antonio Brown probably gets the most yards out of any receiver this year.
Honestly, I think he's number 1 rated receiver right now. And if he's not, he's got to be in the top 5 for sure.
It's going to be him or the Cowboys receiver, whatever the fuck his name is.
Des Bryant.
Yeah.
Who got totally fucking shut down the other day.
Against the Cardinals?
Yeah. There you go. That game.
Who have a notoriously bad passing Wait, maybe it's a run defense. They have like a really bad passing defense, I think. It could be run defense, but I'm almost positive it's passing defense. They must have just like taken their one good guy and they're like, here,
cover Des Bryant, all
take
costs.
this cocaine and now play football. Anyway, do you guys want to do some videos, or you want to keep talking about football for a little bit longer?
Well, I want to bring up that Zach was talking about his favorite players in the Steelers, and I had the stats up, and Bell is 3rd in the league in rushing, and what was the other guy, the receiver?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown is 1st.
Yeah.
So, just to prove you were right.
Well, and I don't know. You know what I'm really kind of disappointed about? I was talking to Will about earlier. Anyway, freaking Mike Wallace. I really wish we hadn't gotten rid of Mike Wallace when we did. Because if we still had Brown and Wallace, we would be just absolutely vicious with the deep. Like, oh man, one of those guys on either side, and then like a crossing route with Heath Miller. you would fucking who are you gonna cover?
Yeah.
Like we'd have someone open every time, and then even if they were
No,
covered,
the problem
it'd
is
be like,
that's-
oh surprise, we ran into Bell. Ah, you're fucked.
Yeah, the problem right there is now become like this the strong safeties nightmare.
Oh god, it's ridiculous, dude. If we had Mike Wallace running his crazy fast legs like straight down for the deep ball, and Antonio Brown running some sideline route that he just jukes anybody, and then Heath Miller with the safe like block and then step up for the short pass in the middle, like the safety out, dude, we would shut anybody down. Like you couldn't stop them. You couldn't stop them. It'd be awesome.
That's what
we got rid of
49ers
Wallace.
fans were hoping for too, because like you said, your offensive line is key. Your offensive line is protecting Ben, and guess what? He's hitting these guys that are out there. With the 49ers, we acquired Stevie Johnson, Brandon Lloyd's kicking ass. We still have Anquan Bolden, Michael Crabtree's supposed to be healthy. We have Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
The 49ers should be up there with the Broncos and the Steelers.
Yeah, but your line's too hurt.
Our offensive line is the guys that are hurt. That hurts us. The guys that are playing are getting beat up by defensive lines, and it's just not fair. I mean, Kaepernick should be putting up unprecedented numbers.
Well, and as much as I like Kaepernick, but I've said this 100 times before too. Like, he just had his rookie breakout season, and he was pretty quality. And like, I think Kaepernick is more like a Michael Vick type quarterback, where he's more of a running back than he is a quarterback. He can just also throw, and like, I don't know. I think they should have held on to Alex Smith.
Okay.
I think they'd be doing better if they had Alex Smith.
Real talk. Okay, I think that Kaepernick is good at throwing. I think he can throw accurate passes. He throws really fast. He's a fucking pitcher or whatever in college. And the problem is, in football, his mentality is usually geared towards I should run, not I should throw. And that's I feel like that's something that the coaching has been trying to change. Like, you're a thrower first. If you're gonna take the ball, if you're not handing it off, you're a thrower first. You're a runner second. And it's like if you accidentally or you inadvertently switch those priorities in your mind, like, okay, look around. There's no throw that I see immediately. Run it. Like.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily wait for the play to develop.
Well,
like
he doesn't have time anymore. Like,
No.
And that's really true too.
Well, see, the problem is the last couple seasons he's been doing the run first thing, and guess what? They've been winning with that. They didn't win the Super Bowl or anything, but look how far they got. And that
yeah,
was
but
without
see,
anybody
now
to
you're
throw
getting
to.
this argument. It's like if you're shooting you know how some people shoot a basketball with their hands on the sides and they can shoot it pretty good. If you tell that person, okay, but the better way to shoot is with your hand behind the ball, right?
Okay, hold up. Not that anybody on the podcast cares about this, but I just got a text message that I'm super freaking stoked about.
What?
You guys know that girl that I've been hanging out with every now and then, like that coffee shop girl?
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her in like a week or anything, and because I asked her to dinner the other Friday, and she wanted to go, but then she wasn't feeling very well or whatever is what she said, and kind of blew me off. Haven't sent her a text, haven't talked to her, haven't nothing, just been like, whatever. Totally just sent me a text at like 10:30 at night, like, hey, how's your week going? You want to go to dinner tomorrow after I'm off work?
Nice. Found it. Hell yeah, brother.
Are you gonna reply? I'm not feeling too well.
No. You know, I probably should. Fuck that.
You know what?
Only if that dinner comes with dessert, and that dessert is your pussy.
See, and if I was an asshole, like I probably should be, that's what I would say. But I'm way too nice a guy for that. So my response
You're nice
is,
to girls. You're mean to. You're like, well, you're kind of just like disrespectful to everyone else. But cute girls, they can slide.
That's
I mean,
not true.
nice
I'm
to
not
them.
disrespectful to anybody. I just
You're disrespectful as fuck to some people. Like, just occasion, like, not constantly, but like, there's like the moments where it's like, oh, you really shouldn't have said that to Cassie. Like, come on now.
well, yeah. Cassie specifically is a unique
Oh, Crazy
situation.
K, another
Because-
person on this cast.
because okay, this is not a conversation for the podcast.
All right, we'll
We
watch
don't
a
need,
video.
we don't
then.
need this out in the world. But that actually kind of bums me out a little bit that you say that, because respect is huge for me, and like I try to be respectful to a lot of people, and like what I don't know, and it's funny that you say that too, because I am insanely respectful to people that I don't know, and like people that I'm
Sure.
really good friends with, and people that I know well, and that I know me, and like know who I am and how I am most of the time, I am more disrespectful to it. But it's more just because
I know you don't mean it.
Yeah, well that.
Well, no, I think that it's more of like people deserve to like be told, you know,
exactly.
an honest opinion of them sometimes.
And Cassie can dish it out just as well.
And that's
too,
how
so.
I usually am, and that's where I run into that problem a lot. And what I try to tell people is like I'm just fucking honest. Like I tell it like I see it, and I'm not gonna hold back, especially if you know me. Like I will basically just verbally slap you in the face if you're being stupid. I'm gonna flat out tell you, no, you're an idiot. This is what it should be. Stop being dumb. Like
You're the Marshall Mathers of the podcast world.
Yeah, but like the only thing is like you attract more flies with honey than with that's wrong. More bees with honey than vinegar. And so if you really wanted somebody to like reform their like stupid behavior, I don't think berating them is necessarily the best option as far as like, you know, if you truly want this person to like realize that they're making mistakes, like it may not work to just be
and you're right. Sometimes
like all up in their face.
Sometimes I take it way too far.
That's all good.
But
Let's get off that.
anyway, back to
So that's
sports.
cool, man. Congratulations on the date. So.
It's
Yeah.
not a date yet. I have to say yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you're aching to just throw her a confusing mixed signal right now.
Yeah, I kind of am.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The trick is only play hard to get if you think it's gonna work. Because if it doesn't, you're gonna be like,
I
crap. I
don't
wish
wanna
I had
watch
said yes.
football.
Dude, and you know what's hilarious about this too is me and her have actually even had this conversation where like I always make that mistake where I'm the asshole to like the wrong girls. Like I'm always like nice to the ones that
Don't want you nice.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm tempted to just be like, well, this is what I should say. Like,
Oh yes, that way you can get both of them in. So no matter what, you're right.
exactly.
Oh my God. All right, so I'm
Alright,
thinking
video.
about.
Go
I'm
ahead.
thinking about.
We need a distraction.
Yeah, I don't want to watch another football video, but
Neither
I'm
do I.
thinking about. I'm thinking about splitting up the sports and the shenanigans. So I'm gonna kill this video. We're gonna come back. This will be the end of this sports section. And there will be another video you can click on. I'll probably put an annotation or something you can follow.
Yeah, we always end with football anyway because we have to do our picks, and it's okay to have a football thing.
So yeah, let's get some shenanigans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
shenanigans.
While I figure out what I'm gonna text.
You
this
did
guy.
mention a video about boobs. So.
all right, shenanigans are upcoming.
Dude, everybody
Thanks for
loves
watching.
boobs.